we'll go ahead and get started. So I thought it'd be pretty cool to interview my daughters since they've already made it through junior high and high school. They graduated, made it through. Haley just graduated from college, and then Jacquelyn graduated 2 years ago from high school. And they didn't have any coronavirus to go through. Jessica, sorry. I know, right? So I thought it'd be interesting to hear their take, because they're so close to graduating from school and stuff, their take on the going to school and coming back from school and hanging out, just everything that. So I wrote up some questions to ask them, and I had to give them to them in advance so they know what was going on. But I thought I'd ask them some questions. So I'd like for you guys just to introduce yourself and how old you are and all that stuff.
Hi, I'm Haley. I'm 23 years old. Whoop whoop.
I remember when she was born.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day.
23 years ago.
Whew. Wow.
I'm Jacquelyn and I'm 19, about to be 20. Woo! Out of the teen years. Woo!
It's not as exciting as it sounds, but hey, what can I say? What can I say? So, what has God called you to? Jacquelyn, what's God called you to?
He's called me to be a missionary to Peru. And I'm not really sure how it's all going to play out yet, but I know that I want to use my love for soccer there, because they love soccer in Peru. And I think I can use it in that way. And also, I want to open up an orphanage for children who don't have homes. And I'm a social work major right now, so I want to use that in the orphanage or some way to help others. I'm not really sure how yet, but yeah.
She doesn't really love soccer. She just likes because she can slam people on the ground. That's why she likes
too.
soccer.
Yeah. Very true.
Haley, what is?
You can make her own soccer team.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
God has called me to teach students. Currently I'm teaching 6th grade students with special needs. So they all have disabilities. Most of my students have either autism or a learning disability.
That's cool. So one of the cool things. Hey, Grace. One of the cool things is that Haley's been and Jacquelyn. They've had the best youth pastor their whole life.
It's very true.
Not bragging. I'm not bragging. I'm not patting myself on the back. I wasn't so fat I could reach back on my back. But so my question to them was, for you guys, what's one of the best things that you loved about youth when you were part of the youth ministry at church? Thank you very much.
I don't know. It's kind of hard because I grew up in ministry, so there's a lot of great things.
She's been a youth her whole life, by the way. She's been
yeah, since I was born, basically. I guess my favorite part would be probably having the best youth pastor and listening to his sermons, because they're so applicable to your life and what you're going through. So just applying that to your life.
I told her if she'd said that, I'd paint her car or something like that. So.
I would say also just being able to come together as a community and being able to hang out with my friends was a really fun part of it. And also just coming to a church that you know that people are gonna love on you and care about you, and a way to come together and worship God together. And also, I love youth convention. And
I missed it this year, Jess, right?
Yeah, I did.
yeah, I miss youth convention, so I was gonna say a story about it. So this was 3 or 4 years, 3 years ago maybe, I don't know, but it was really fun. Cameron and Andrew and I forget who else, but we all went in the back of the van and started jamming out. It was really fun. I think Jessica, were you there too?
Yeah, because the boys were getting yelled at because it was your wall went over the curb.
Yeah.
So boys got yelled at youth convention. That just don't seem like.
I know.
They got yelled at because they got yelled at so much because they didn't want to stay in their seat while we were driving.
No,
Yeah,
not our
well,
boys. So if we have the best memories, we gotta have the worst memory. What's one of the worst memories?
Okay, so
I'll tell you one. When 2 boys were fighting over coming from the youth to the sanctuary.
ooh.
when she was in like, what, 10th grade, 9th grade?
Yeah, you guys are all probably too young to know that story.
It was exciting.
Yeah.
And they came in, sat in service. I never knew that. You know, when you get in a fight, you think you'd have some marks in your face. Yeah, they didn't have any marks in their face. It was,
They caved off.
I think they were slapping each other.
Yeah, it was a little girly fight, you know. I'd say my worst memory would be in 7th grade, feeling like I didn't know who to sit by, and I just really sat alone and felt alone.
Pretty much the same thing, because when we like first moved here, it was kind of hard to like get into the youth group because it was just like awkward because I didn't know anyone. So I kind of felt like that too.
Why did you like coming to youth? I mean, I know you had to come because you were my daughters, but why did you like coming to youth? What made you like youth? Because they always liked youth. If I wanted to get them in, if I wanted to discipline them, I said, you can't come to youth, which I never would do that, which I think is the stupidest thing in the world. But that's just my opinion. Okay. But
I don't know, it's always like the highlight of my week. It's something I look forward to, just like Jacquelyn said about the community of youth group, just being with other fellow believers and going through the same struggles as other people, like in school, being a Christian and, having that support.
I would say the same thing. It's just like being with your friends, having community, and being able to go after God together and pursue the calling that God has on your life, and also just like having fun. Like we would play like dodgeball. We had a big slip and slide one year. It's like fun stuff like that.
youth's always fun when you get to slam someone in the head that gets on your nerves.
Oh, remember
always
the
thought that was fun.
diapers? Remember the diapers?
Oh, the poopy diaper. I
yeah,
love
that was like a great game.
It's always nice to see when Ralph back in the diaper and you still have to eat it because you don't want to lose.
Yeah.
That's always the adventure. What is your favorite verse and why is that your favorite verse?
Mine is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. It's really like that verse. And I think it's a really good verse, like right now as you're a teen, because you don't know exactly what you're going to do with your life, and just remembering that God has a plan for you, and He has a plan for your life, and just remembering that even when you don't know exactly what you're going to do with your life.
Mine is Isaiah 43:2. When you go through deep waters, I will be with you. When you go through rivers of difficulty, you will not drown. When you walk through the fire of oppression, you will not be burned up. The flames will not consume you. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel, your Savior. I gave Egypt as a ransom for your freedom, and Ethiopia in your place. Others were given in exchange for you. I traded their lives for yours, because you are precious to me, you're honored, and I love you. So I like that verse because it helped me get through a lot of difficult times in my life, because it made me realize that God's there whenever you're going through the rivers or going through the fire of life, because there are going to be times when you walk through fire, and there's going to be times when you feel like you're going to drown, but that's when God pulls you back up. And then the last part of the verse is like my favorite part, because God literally says right there, I love you. And those are the three like most important words to hear from your Heavenly Father, because we always want to hear it on the earth, but when you hear it from God, it's like 10 times better, because it's true love. So.
I think, if you've been, and you service long enough, you've heard me say that God has a destiny, God has a plan for you. And that's something I've just always spoke ever since I've been a youth pastor, because I believe that with all my heart. And so I not only speak it to you guys as teenagers, but also speak it to my own family, that you're here for a reason and a purpose. And that reason is to fulfill God's plan. And you got to seek after God's plan, and He'll find it for you. So the next question is this. What was your biggest battle when you were in junior high? Now, I'm going to preface this. I think junior high for me was 7th through 9th grade. That was junior high. And when I started 7th grade, I had to go to a brand new school. And so 7th and 8th grade, to me, it was tough. It was probably my 2 worst years of my school career. If you call it a career, I guess. I don't know.
I just think in those grades, you're really trying to figure out who you are.
Yeah, that wasn't me, by the way. I'm just letting you know that grades was my concern there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I see a lot in my students, and even I I help out in a youth group where I live, and I work with 7th and 8th graders. And their biggest struggle is like identity. So I think like that was one of my biggest struggles, just like comparing myself to others, and just that, and just that. Yeah.
It's because she was so beautiful, and everyone wasn't as beautiful as her, and it kind of threw her off a little bit because he thought everyone should be beautiful like her. That's just a dad, what to say.
My biggest struggle probably in middle school was moving, because we moved from Littlestown, Pennsylvania. We lived there pretty much all our lives. I mean, I was born in West Virginia, but we moved to Pennsylvania.
That's the reason for the accent, sorry.
No, I don't think I have an accent. If I do, please tell me, because I want to know if it's true. But yeah, moving, because I literally knew nobody. Like, we moved to the other side of the state. We didn't know anybody. So it was really hard to just like fit in, but also me and Haley were completely different, like from the other kids in public school. So we had to learn how to fit in, but like not fit in.
How did you win those battles when you were in junior high?
Oh, sorry.
That's right.
I'd say like, wait, when I was in junior high, you said?
Yeah.
I'd say like youth leaders pouring into my life, and just telling me that, I am like who I am, who God created me to be. Psalms 139 was a big chapter for me, and that's like the verses that talk about God creating you fearfully and wonderfully, and that God ordained every day in His book. So just remembering that really helped me through that. I would say what helped me was just coming to church and realizing that like I'm here for a reason. And even though it was hard going through school, like I made friends after a while, and those friends lasted me throughout high school, so it was like a really blessing. So shout out to all those people, even though they're not on here, but yeah. I love you guys.
What was your biggest battle in high school, and from junior high to high school, what was your biggest battle there?
So I moved in 9th grade, so that was high school for me then. But I'd say like social pressure, or like peer pressure, just like because I had friends who were like cool kids and also like not so cool kids, and then kind of like in the middle. So I'd say that was my biggest struggle, and like when I would hang out with like my not so cool friends and like my popular friend would walk by, I almost felt like embarrassed to be by them, I guess. So yeah, that was mine.
I have like two. So one of them is like what Haley was saying in middle school is identity, because I like struggled with that a lot in high school, because there's like always those popular people who like talk down on you, and I don't know, that was just like kind of hard for me, but then like senior year I just started not caring, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be who God's called me to be instead of being afraid of what the popular people think of me. And I started friending people who like weren't the most popular people, and I think that helped me to realize that God loves everyone. And my second struggle was tearing my ACL my junior year. That was like the biggest struggle for me, because soccer was like my everything, and that was how I like expressed myself, was through soccer, and that's how a lot of my struggles I would put on the field. And so not having that was like really hard for me.
And I want you to notice their teeth, show them those pretty teeth you got. Yeah, that's a Mustang restoration right there, sitting out in the garage. That never happened. It went in the mouth. Since your graduation, have you seen a lot of people that you graduated with? People that you wanted to impress or you wanted to like you? Have you seen many?
I could probably count on my fingers how many people I've graduated with. Maybe like 8. I don't know. So I probably graduated with 150 people. That's about like 5% of the people I graduated with.
Wow, math girl. That's what I'm talking about.
6th grade math, I got it.
Not really. the only time I ever really see anyone is when I come back from college, like, and I go to Walmart or something, because you always see one person that you know. And also, like, if I hang out with my friends, then yeah, I see them. But that's intentional.
I think probably one of the biggest things you battle as a teenager is the mind game. You know, we're always thinking about, what does someone think about me? Do they like me? Does he like me? Does she like me? There's a mind game always going on. How did you win the mind game in high school?
Well, I think the devil, he gets in your mind a lot and will tell you lies, and just, play mind games with you. Like, oh, they're going to think you're weird if you do that. They're going to think you're weird if you pray for that person, or if you, step out and do something nice for someone that's not the popular person, or, so I think my biggest thing was my mindset in the morning. Every morning on the bus, I would listen to some worship music and just get myself prepared for the day. And I would always pray, God, however you want to use me to do what you want to do in my life today.
Yeah, just to go off of that, the devil's a liar, and he's going to tell you so many things that you think are true, but they're not. If it does not line up with God's word, then it's not true. And I know a lot of times, like, especially now with being quarantined, we all feel like lonely or like alone, and the devil's going to try to get you to do things that just aren't right because you're alone, but you're not alone because God's always with you. And the way to, like, combat that is when the devil tries to lie to you, then you combat it with God's word. And that's, like, the best way to go about it. And I know sometimes you don't feel like doing it, but if you want to overcome the devil, you have to.
So how did you, how did friends play a role in your life in school?
I don't know, they were important to me. Always walked in the hallway with my friends, and got on the bus with my friends, went to track and soccer with my friends, texted my friends.
Yeah, they played, like, a pretty big part in my life. Some more than others. Some were, like, very, not, like, detrimental, but some of them kind of, like, discouraged me in ways. But then others, like, really lifted me up, especially, like, my church friends. They really helped me get through high school.
How did you balance your friends with your faith in God?
I was never willing to compromise, like, who I was, for my friends. I mean, sure, at times I probably compromised who I was, but a good balance is, I don't know, I guess, like at night I would take time with God and just turn off my phone, away from distractions.
What was the question again?
How did you balance friends with God, your relationship with God?
I would say, like, I had something I was gonna say, but I forget.
And it was good too. I know it was good.
No, I don't have it written down. Like, you have to you can't let people influence you to be something you're not. And I know, like, oh, I remember now. So, like, this guy in high school, he would always be like...
That's the killer dog right there, bro.
That's your cat. In high school, this guy would always be like, oh, just cuss, like, one word, because, like, they knew I didn't cuss, and I was like, no.
Man,
like,
people do that to me too.
Yeah.
I'll give you $50 if you say this word.
I was like, let me see the money. But you just have to, like, balance it out and not compromise who you are to fit in, because, like, seriously, guys, like, you're not gonna see these people when you graduate. They're not gonna know who you are. Like, it doesn't matter what they think now, honestly.
I remember one time we're sitting in youth service and Haley was sitting beside this boy that I knew liked her. He had just come to youth because he liked her. And do you remember his name? No, we don't say his name. And after service, he's like, "Hey, bro, could or he asked, if Haley asked, can we take him home? And I'm like, yeah. And so we go out to the car, and she's like, you got to sit up front by my dad. And he's like, I ain't sitting by your dad. I'm like, she goes, no, you got to sit by my dad. And so they went back and forth. Finally, he was sitting up beside me, and Haley and Jacquelyn are in the back seat giggling. And first thing he said to me, he's like, can I take your daughter to the movies? And I look at him, I'm like, dude, I just had a dream about this. And he goes, and I really did. That night before, I had a dream about this guy asking me about taking Haley to the movies. And I said, I just had a dream about this. He goes, well, what did you say when I asked you? I said, if you touch her, I'm going to beat the snot out of you. That's what I'm going to do. And he's like, oh, really? I said, yeah, you can't take my daughter to. I said, these are my most prized possessions, So yeah, sometimes I was a pastor, and sometimes I had to be a dad too. So next question. How did you balance sports and church? That's a big thing right now in our culture, sports and church.
So I always thought it was important to come to church. So after, I think soccer was always like 6 to 8 or something. I would still come to youth group at 8, all sweaty and gross, and probably smell really bad. Like the person sitting next to me probably passed out.
Girls don't smell bad. Come on, man.
We thought they were slaying in spirit, but they really were just passed out. But yeah, I always made it a point to do that. I remember one time I told my soccer coach that I was going to go to youth group instead of going to, I think it was practice or maybe a game, I don't know. And he wasn't very happy. He said, go to church on Sunday. And I said, no, I'm going to church on Wednesday. So,
then he asked you what was more important?
Yeah, he did ask me what was more important. And I said, youth group. God is more important than soccer, sorry. I love soccer, but God is more important.
And both girls tore their ACL. Haley did it in your senior year, right?
Yeah.
And Jacquelyn in her junior, they both have matching scars on their leg.
Yeah.
That'd be for another video, definitely.
Yeah. Sister scars.
Yeah. I would say the way to balance sports and church is where's your priorities lies, where you have to ask yourself, like, yes, sports are important and it's important to be committed to your team, but you also have to balance it out. And like Haley said, my practice was from 5 to 7, so I came to church like right at 7. The church service has already started, but I came in there sweaty and disgusting, but who cares? You're in the presence of God, so if you don't like my smell, well, then I guess you'll have to move away. Amen.
What is college like? Since Haley just graduated last year, should be out for a year. Jacquelyn is a sophomore, kind of a sophomore.
Yeah, almost one more final, guys.
Okay, college is completely different than high school, and college is way better than high school. I'm just telling you right now. You have like a schedule, but it's like you don't have classes every day necessarily, and it's like some like meet like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or some might meet Tuesday, Thursday or whatever. But I loved college life. It was awesome. Yeah, and especially going to a Christian college, I felt like it really like cultivated my life into what God wanted for me.
College is lit.
Epic!
Like, I don't understand the people that say they want to go back to high school.
Ew. No, guys, you're never
So
gonna want
you
to go
guys
back
have
to high school. Okay?
stuff to look forward to. College.
College is
Just.
fun.
No skip days
I
in
want to be
college.
done with school.
Almost
Give me
there.
a break.
No, college is awesome. Like Haley said, like my schedule next year is gonna be great. Like I'm only gonna have one class on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, and then Tuesday, Thursdays I'm pretty packed. But I get to ride horses next year. It's pretty heavy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm also still technically at college because Doug is graduating. Well, he's supposed to graduate Friday, but Jessica, you know how that is. Is anyone else a senior? No, I don't think so. Yeah, but yeah, rough life.
What like, especially going to a Christian school, a Christian university, what are some of the big surprises at a Christian university that surprised you about going to a Christian university?
Definitely like some of the people like aren't passionate about God, which is really surprising because you go to a Christian college thinking that everyone's gonna have the same fire for God and going after God like you. That's not the case. I remember the first time I heard someone like cussed or something, I was like, oh my goodness, like we're all Christians, but not everyone is. Not everyone's a Christian that goes to a Christian school.
Yeah, and everyone has like different beliefs too. Like some people come from different backgrounds. Like yes, they're coming to a Christian school, but they're not really Christian. And like there's a lot of like the sports teams too that like they just kind of got committed to the team and they're not really Christian, so they just like come to school and like Haley said, there's a lot of people that just like cuss. You're like, that's weird.
How does God speak to you? Because God speaks to everyone, but He speaks to us all kind of a different way, or we hear Him in a different way.
God spoke to me in a few different ways, like through dreams. Sometimes He just drops like a thought in my brain, and I, like when I was younger, I kind of thought it was like just me thinking, but like now I know like it's God like speaking to me, because it's not something I would just like think of, like before, like He's told me to like forgive someone, and I'm like, really? Like that's definitely not for me, because I don't want to forgive that person. But I think mostly God speaks to me through His Word. So when I'm reading the Bible, and it's especially cool like when you read a verse at like a certain walk in your walk with God. Like it might mean something different to you than like years down the road. Like I've read a verse and it meant something to me like in my teenage years, and like now it means something different to me now. Like I don't know, it's just so interesting like how God speaks to you through it.
Yeah, and just going off of what Haley said, it's like God's Word is living. So like when you read it, it comes alive inside of you, and there's a different season for every verse. And that's why my favorite verse changes a lot, because different seasons of life. But the way that God speaks to me most is what Haley said, is like I get this weird like thought in my head, and
If you could only see what happens behind the camera, it'd be hilarious.
I just get this weird like thought in my head, and I'm like, I wouldn't do that like normally, and that's like God speaking to you.
I think that probably one of the most amazing things that we as Christians can experience is that the God of the universe speaks to us. He talks to us, and that there's nothing better than that. And it's so profound when He does it. All right, got 2 more questions left for these young ladies. What is He saying to you now? What's God speaking to you now? Besides you're hungry, mouth is watering.
Yeah, a little bit. I'd say the word like trust is a big one right now. Doug and I are kind of like in a transitional phase.
Hey, Doug, we see you on there, bro.
Hi, Doug. Like Doug just, is supposed to graduate. He graduated basically.
Doug, you didn't graduate?
There's one more final.
Oh.
Nope. Not till August.
Shout out 4.0 this semester.
Doug, man, you brought it up, bro. Could it be your wife? I don't know. Just wondering.
That's what I said.
But yeah, we're just in kind of a transitional phase. Like, what are we gonna do next? So just trust.
I think he just blew you a kiss.
I thought it was a fart, but
That too. So what God's teaching me right now is also just to listen to Him and let Him take some things out of my heart that need to go, and not be so resilient to what He wants to do in my life, because in order to grow you have to get rid of some stuff, and you have to let Him refine you and change things in your life that need to go.
So what would you say to the teenagers to encourage them in their walk with God? Lily just said, I just heard Lily, she's back here barking, and she said that you just need to keep going. That's what she just said. I heard her say that.
keep pushing through.
The dog, that's our dog, Lily. The dog.
So I just want to say, I guess right now is prime time. My dad always said, whatever choice you make affects the rest of your life. So it's really important to remember.
Is that a true statement, you think?
It's so true. The choices you make now affect your future. Your future wife, your future life, your future job, everything. That rhymed.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, or husband, sorry. I don't know why I forgot that.
Doug, you're the old lady.
Yeah, right.
So I guess, just like that mindset, like we were talking about before, keeping your mind straight, focusing on God and not letting other people determine who you're going to be, and being afraid of what they're going to think. I remember graduating high school and just like feeling bummed because I'm like, I feel like I could have done more. You know, like you always feel like you can do more, so do more. Start now. Yeah.
I'd say right now, since like we're all in quarantine and everything, I think this is like a great time to just press into the presence of God, because you don't have your friends, you don't have sports right now, you don't have school. Well, you do have school, but like you're at home. So like just press into you guys need to do your homework, okay? So you don't get behind. But just press into the presence of God and don't waste this time, because you're never going to have time where you have nothing to do. So let God work in your hearts, and also like Haley said, don't stop trying to reach people, and don't just be like, oh, I'll just do it tomorrow. Like start now, because you're going to regret it when you graduate. You're going to wish that you would have done more.
So I think the greatest thing is people that have walked the journey before you. They've walked. We can't read it, Jess.
You don't have graduation.
You don't have graduation.
We believe in you, though. You'll still graduate. You're still going to graduate. We're going to do a party for you at church. But probably the hardest thing is, like you don't really see the end. And you think, well, when I'm a senior, when I graduate, Jessica, when I graduate, it's all going to be over with. It's going to be done. But really, life is just beginning. Life changes when you graduate. And really, the choice you made as a teenager, the choice you make in high school, junior high, are going to affect the rest of your life. So I just want to encourage you in your walk with God not to give up, to keep fighting through. And if you fight through, I promise you, the Bible says when we trust God with the little that we have, when we're faithful with that little that we have, God always shows up with bigger things. Both girls did the Bible club at the high school. And for 6 years, Hickory High School is run by the Smiths Bible Club. And probably it was frustration at times when 2 or 3 people might come, or they might have a 10, but it's always frustrating when you only have a few come, or 15 or 20 might come. But it was frustrating. But what I always told them, be faithful where you're at, and God will bless you as you're faithful. And I see that in both the girls' life, because they've been faithful in the small things. God's blessed them in bigger things. So just want to encourage you. I just want you to know we miss you guys. I can't wait to do youth with you guys again and do something. Talk about go get some food or something. I can't wait to get some food with you guys, hang out with you, go bowling or go-karting or paintballing.
We should go bowling.
How about we go airsoft? Oh, I can't wait. There's so much paintball guns. Ben, you into that?
Paintball?
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've gone.
But you wouldn't mind lighting up a few teenagers, would you?
Not at all.
Yes, I love that guy. Well, I'm gonna have both the girls pray for you guys, and we're gonna post this video up what we did tonight, because some can't come, and so but this is just encourage you guys. Walk with God, and you can go back when we post it up. You can go back and watch it again if you want to hear some of the answers to their questions.
Dear Jesus, I just thank you for this time that we had together with all these teens, and I just thank you that we were able to speak some life and talk about our struggles that we had as teens, God. And I pray that you'll just give each one of them just boldness, God, as you work in their lives, God. Help them reach people, God, that only they can reach. I pray that they'll just know that you have a plan and a purpose for their life, God. In Jesus' name.
Dear God, I just thank you for today, and I thank you for all the people that could come tonight and the people that are going to watch this video, God. I just pray over their lives today, God, as we're going through this tough time. The whole world's going through this tough time, God. I pray that we will lean on you and that it will bring you glory, God, because people's lives are going to be changed by who you are, God. And I just pray for these teens as they go throughout high school that you will be with them, and that you will just ultimately change their lives and help them to reach other people and not be ashamed of who they are and who you created them to be, and let them find their identity in who you are and do the same thing.
So if you need to contact, that's Haley Hartman. She's no Smith no more. It's Haley Hartman on Instagram. And then, are you Jacquelyn Page Smith on Instagram?
Jacquelyn Pagey.
Jacquelyn Pagey with a Q. Jacquelyn with a Q.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if you need to holler at me, you can phone me, text me, whatever. But love you guys. Appreciate you, man. Have a great evening. We love you.